Meanwhile, first things first, let's welcome Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina. Senator, welcome back.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good. Senator, were you watching the interview live with the President of the United States on 60 Minutes?
No, but I saw excerpts of it.
So your thoughts when you heard the President say this?
I think our head of the intelligence community, Jim Clapper, has acknowledged that I think they underestimated what had been taking place in Syria.
Your response?
That Congress has an independent obligation to test that statement. If, in fact, our intelligence community missed the rise of the largest terrorist army that holds land the size of Indiana with more capability, more money than any terrorist organization in history, then somebody needs to be fired? Or is it a question of the president shifting blame? The only way we'll ever know is to have the Intel Committee, not just the higher-ups, but the people in the trenches, come before Congress and explain themselves.
Well, I understand Eli Lake in the Daily Beast today said his source, a member of the Defense Department establishment, were flabbergasted by the president shifting blame. They went on to say either the president doesn't read his intelligence briefings or he is BSing, and I cleaned that up. This is a guy who worked closely on the threat assessment posed by Sunni jihadists in Syria and Iraq.
Well, Senator McCain and I, maybe we should open up our intelligence service. We have been yelling for 3 years that the vacuum created by not supporting the Free Syrian Army is being filled by some of the most radical people in the world. In October, we wrote an op-ed piece talking about the rise of ISIS. I can remember testimony for over a year now coming from the Intel community about Syria becoming an apocalyptic country, completely falling apart, a failed state, and radical Islam. I can remember the Homeland Security Secretary saying that one of the things that worries him the most is an attack coming out of Syria based on Americans going there, that there's a direct threat to the homeland. So I want the intelligence community to be able to answer the accusation by the president that they missed the rise of ISIL.
So you are calling for a committee? You're calling?
Yes. Yes.
What are you calling for exactly,
I'm
Senator?
calling for a congressional investigation deconstructing the statement of the president. Did the intelligence community miss the rise of ISIL from an organization to an army? Or is it, in fact, that the intelligence was there for the president to review, and he just failed to take it seriously? It's one of the two. If he failed to take the intelligence seriously, that needs to be part of the Obama legacy. If, in fact, the intelligence community missed what was there to be seen, somebody needs to be fired.
Well, I know you're holding your fire right now and waiting to see the facts, but you knew what the facts were. You were traveling over there with Senator McCain. You identified what our greatest hope was, the Free Syrian Army. You watched as the Iranians rose up against their regime and we did nothing. And you wanted to see if these protesters could actually get some support from us. And the president diminished them, saying it's fantasy to believe that pharmacists, doctors, and dentists would be able to fight against Assad. Here is Mike Rogers, Chairman Mike Rogers on Kilmeade and Friends on April 15th, 2014, cut 14.
You have this huge and growing problem, Brian, where we had this huge pooling of al-Qaeda affiliates from all over the world, people who are signing up for jihad tourism, coming to the eastern area of Syria because it's a huge safe haven that's supplied, interestingly, by Western Iraq al-Qaeda, and now they are a huge and growing international threat that like nothing I've ever seen, and we just can't get the president or his administration engaged to understand that you can't just hide from it. Just because it's not on the front page of the paper does not mean it's not a threat to the United States or our allies. Very, very concerning in Syria right now.
Your response?
Well, I think, it's probably Exhibit A of any case you would want to make about the knowledge Congress possessed. And how did Mike possess that knowledge? Mike is chairman of what? The House Intel Committee. So I assume that he doesn't just become a CIA agent in his part-time. I assume that people in the intelligence community were telling him this. Where else would he have gotten it from? Here's the question. If Mike Rogers was that informed about the threat we face from ISIL, based on his interaction with the intelligence community in April, how could the president not know? Let's go back to January. In January of this year, the president called ISIS, the JV team. Do you remember that?
Yeah, in the New Yorker magazine.
Okay. Here's what I want to know. Did the intelligence community agree with that assessment in January? Did anybody challenge him when he said it? What made the president write these guys off as being a junior varsity in January? How could Mike Rogers in April predict what was going to come from an unchecked ISIS? He got the information clearly from the intelligence community. Is the intelligence community telling Congress one thing and the president another? Or do we have a commander-in-chief who's basically checked out?
That is, and the only way to do that is have public hearings and give the Intelligence Bureau a chance to defend themselves, because they're not political animals. They're there to get intel, and if people want to mischaracterize, if they in fact are, they can go ahead and do that. They don't have a communications program in place to dispute the White House. So by giving them a chance to dispute or confirm what the president's saying, you're doing your job.
It's the least we could do in terms of allowing the intelligence community to defend themselves. It's the most responsible thing to do in terms of the Congress performing oversight. Right. And it's necessary to fix problems that are in the future by learning from the past. It's hard to fix a problem if you don't know how it was created. So at the end of the day, Brian, this is a stunning statement. And President Bush testified before the 9/11 Commission as they tried to figure out what happened to allow al-Qaeda to get so strong and hit us so hard, and we not understand and not be able to stop it. President Bush submitted himself as president to being interviewed. I wish President Obama would agree to be interviewed by some organization about his presidency regarding ISIL.
That would be interesting. I wouldn't hold your breath, but it would certainly be interesting for the president to do it, because they certainly.
But I think it would be appropriate for the president to. What did he receive? I would love to have the presidential daily briefings sanitized but released. Right. I would like to know what the president was given by the intelligence community. How could Mike Rogers have so much detail in April on your show? If it didn't come from the intelligence community, clearly it did.
Right.
And if he was that informed, how could the president say just a few days ago the intelligence committee missed it? They clearly didn't miss it when it came to Mike Rogers.
Okay, you got two more big topics to get to. First off, yesterday it was announced that there has been a status of forces agreement with Afghanistan to leave 9,500 troops in that country past 2014. Your reaction?
It's a good agreement. We cannot leave our soldiers in foreign countries without legal protection. The status forces agreement will prevent these folks from being prosecuted in Afghan courts. We will deal with any disciplinary problems. It gives them the legal status to protect themselves and to operate effectively inside of Afghanistan. That's a big event. Hats off to President Ghani. He's going to be, I think, a very good ally to the United States. Karzai became a disaster. But here's what I want to say on your show. The president's drawdown of our forces in Afghanistan is a national security failure in the making. It will lead to the same result that we found in Iraq. Today, there are about 7,000 counterterrorism troops within the coalition. By January of 2015, we're going to go down to 3,000. By the end of 2016, the counterterrorism force will go away, and there will be 1,000 U.S. forces left. That is a formula for disaster. All the listing posts we have in the tribal regions along the Pakistani border are being dismantled. All the special forces we've had for years in Afghanistan to go out and whack terrorists before they get strong will be taken out. We're relying on an Afghan-Pakistan counterterrorism organization that is ineffective, small in number. The region between Afghan and Pakistan is terrorist-rich. This is where 9/11 really was planned. The president's decision to go down to 1,000 troops by January of 2017 will get you the same result of leaving Iraq. It is a disaster in the making, and I'm begging him to change that position before it's too late.
All right. Senator, there's also a major concern that I have and you have, perhaps, and that is with the deal we're cutting with Iran to get them to fight against ISIS or get them to dismantle their nuclear program. Where are we heading with this?
We're headed toward a North Korea outcome. The last time the international community engaged a rogue regime to control their nuclear program was in North Korea. The Clinton administration, the Bush administration, you can blame both parties here, basically underestimated North Korea. They had sanctions in place that were crippling the North Korean economy. North Korea was literally starving. So the deal was, we'll relieve sanctions and provide you money and food if you will stop your nuclear program. Well, the truth of the matter is they got the money, the sanctions were relieved, they got the food, the rest is history. The inspection regime that was left in place in North Korea was not robust enough to stop the ambitions of the North Koreans. North Korea violated all the terms of the deal, and now they have nuclear weapons. Iran wants enrichment for what? Why do you think the Iranians are demanding enrichment capability when it comes to uranium?
They want to make a weapon, or they just are running out of gas.
Well, the argument is that they want to be able to make commercial fuel for peaceful purposes and not have to depend on outside groups to run peaceful reactors. Here's my reply. We can guarantee you a fuel supply to run a commercial reactor. What we will not do is allow you the enrichment capability that could be turned into producing a weapon just like North Korea.
Gotcha.
The Obama administration is going to concede an enrichment capability to the Iranians because they're demanding it.
Right.
They're going to hail this as a major foreign policy success. And the UN is the only thing between the Iranians breaking out and having a nuclear weapon, and Israel is going to be in a world of hurt. Sunni Arab nations are going to demand an enrichment capability of their own because they don't trust the Shia Persians.
Wow.
And here's the question.
Real quick, Senator.
Okay, I've asked the Obama administration, tell me what safeguards exist regarding Iran that did not exist regarding North Korea. They've never responded.
Wow. And we got to make sure that other people get a look at that treaty. We did it with the Soviets when they were the Soviets.
I want it to come to Congress for an up or down vote.
All right. Senator, thanks so much. You have a lot to discuss, and thanks for being ahead of the curve when it comes to this, the threat we're facing. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you.
Thank you.